Okay, so here we go. Story time. I had a really rough, last week. Today is Wednesday, June 9th, and starting last Wednesday or Thursday-ish is where things started to be rough. So, I wrote everything down on my phone. I texted it to somebody else, the architect, if you guys know who that is from other videos and me talking about him. But he was like my best friend, and I was going to tell him about it because he doesn't watch the stream because he's a jerk. So I have screenshots of everything, and I'm gonna read most of this to you guys, and we'll if you guys want to ask questions in the middle of it, I'll answer them if they're a serious question. If you guys ask dumb questions, I'm not going to answer those during the story. But here we go. So I'm gonna start with the less important things, and I've numbered these, so we're gonna go with the numbers. 1. We called a landscaper to see if he could fix the side of my house, the side right out here next to my window. There are some weeds out there that are like 4 to 5 feet tall, and they are the spiky boys. So I didn't want to take care of them myself. Dreams, there is not a quiz after. So it took a while to get a response from him after he did came and look at it. I needed the estimate. But after I finally did get a response from him, he said it was going to be $750 to take it out and then seed it with grass. And I was like, that is too much. No thank you. Number 2, you guys have probably heard this part already, but my dryer motor went out a couple weeks ago, and my washer sucks. And I don't know if you remember from me telling you parts of this story before, but my dryer and washer don't fit through the door. I have a very small doorway there. So they have built the wall around the washer and dryer and furnace and water heater. So to get them out, we have to take them apart. But we bought a new washer and dryer that are compact, so they almost fit through the door, because the door with trim is 23.5 inches, and the washer and dryer's depths are 23.8 inches, so it's just slightly too big. So I bought them on May 29th, and then I bought them through Best Buy, and then they have a little calendar thing, and it's like, pick your delivery and install date. So I picked it for June 3rd. Something went wrong in their system, so I had to reschedule it using a robot on an 800 number, and I scheduled it for June 9th, which is today. We'll get back to that. Number 3, called a gutter cleaning service because my gutters have trees in them. They're supposed to come Monday to do that. They gave me an estimate for $125, and now I'm going to go into the weekend and go in a chronological order. Like, that all happened like sometime last week. And also, for reference here, if I can get my camera to work enough on this. Oh, that'll work fine, yeah. So, those are my gutters right there. And you can see, that's little, like, especially right there, you can see there's little trees growing out of it. Because the trees all dropped in it from above. The little helicopter things, yeah. Dreams, we're not getting ready for wedding 2. We're doing all this together because it all happened at the same time. The gutters got really bad, the lawn got really bad, and the washer and dryer both got really bad, all at the same time. Number 4, I want you guys to know that this is a 13-part story. So we are just getting started. So this weekend was my sister-in-law's, last weekend, what is that, 5th and 6th? Yeah. So yeah, the 5th and 6th was my sister-in-law's graduation and graduation party. So we went back to my parents, or to my in-laws, my wife's parents' house. And everyone just started out in a bad mood when we got there. But that's okay. They're working on planning the party and doing the last-minute stuff for the party, which is after the graduation, which is on Sunday. Their garage refrigerator then goes out. Normally, that's not a big deal. But they have food for 50 people stored between the two, like the indoor fridge and the garage refrigerator. So they went into panic mode. They called the neighbors. They had my sister-in-law's boyfriend bring 2 mini fridges. They used the deep freezer in the basement. And then they put some things in a cooler, and it was a whole thing. Meanwhile, my father-in-law and I go to Lowe's to look for a new refrigerator. We end up finding one. It's a stainless steel, large, heavy refrigerator that originally was $1,500, but it was in a scratch and dent section for $800. And it had somebody had used it before, so we had to like clean it out. But like for $700 less, it was absolutely worth it. Anyways, we called that back. It was very heavy. Number 5. The award ceremony was that evening too, and I've found out recently by telling this story that some people's high schools are a little different. So at our local high schools, there's an award ceremony where everybody that is getting recognized for academic honors, technical honors, or has a scholarship that they're receiving is invited to go to. And when I went to that, I received quite a bit of scholarship money. Definitely not like a full ride or anything, but like enough to be very helpful in paying for tuition and stuff. So we were a little excited to see how my sister-in-law did. But we went and we sat there for 2 hours, and she didn't get anything, and it was real sad. She had gotten the academic honors diploma, which is how she made it into the ceremony. The next day, Sunday, we get set up for the party and go to the graduation, which was pretty boring, as a graduation is. And then we have the party. Lots of running around and stuff, but no major problems. I ate so much cake. Like, a ridiculous amount of cake. I should not have eaten that much cake. I had a cannoli cupcake, a piece of the graduation cake, a buntini, which is like a bunt cake cupcake. I had a shortbread cookie. I had a macaron. And on top of that, I had dinner. So, it was a lot. Anyways, my wife and I don't end up leaving until 9 p.m. There is a 2.5 hour drive back. So we leave at 9 p.m. and have to work the next morning. So we're not planning to get home till 11:30 when normally we're in bed by then. But now we get to the good part of the story. All of that was just context for what happens in the latter half of the story. So I hope you're ready for that part. Number 7 and 8. Because I accidentally skipped a number, but this is a big section anyways, so I kind of want to break it into 2 things. 7 and 8. I wrote here, oh boy. So we get a couple miles before realizing, by couple miles, I mean we went 25 miles before realizing my wife forgot her backpack, which has her laptop and iPad in it, and those things are necessary for her to do her work. So we had to turn around. So we turn around 25 miles later, get back, and then I drive on the way back again. Because she's super tired at this point. But by the time we get there and back and leave again, it is now 10:15. So we've spent an hour and 15 minutes and made 0 progress. So the drive felt super long. My wife ends up falling asleep off and on, which is super unusual for her to fall asleep in a car. But overall, it was a smooth drive. Then we passed one of the major, not major, but like a small city. And that's like the last stopping place before we get to our city. And then about 10 miles after that, there's some construction. Now, we're around mile marker 155 on this interstate at this point, and we're about 20 miles away from where we need to go. So there is construction going on at this area, and I'm gonna see. Can I put my draw on screen thing on here real quick? Yo, what's up, Run? We are in the middle of a story, and you just got to the good part. Everything up to this point was context, so you'll be a little lost, but not too bad. Oh. Okay, let me hit this button. Okay, so where'd my mouse go? All right, that's working. So I am here. More centered. So we're on a road, right? And just pretend that's a white line. Here's my car, which is red. In front of me is a semi. Now this distance here is very misportrayed, but I wanted to draw it on screen. So we're just gonna leave it there. Beside me is a white van. It's a cargo van, and it's a lot bigger than my car. And then, on top of all that, there is a concrete barricade right here. So that's all great. So I'm trapped in between all this stuff, which is fine because it's a road and sometimes that happens. But then, this little dude right here, there's no rotate tool in paint. He hits the rear part of his truck trailer on the concrete barrier. That thing sparks. And it's a little scary, but at first it's no big deal. So after that I break, and now we're like real far apart. But what I didn't realize was he had a mud flap on his tire. That's not what I wanted. Ooh, that's not what I want to do. This mud flap that's right here. You guys can't see that. What about pink? I'm gonna go with dark blue. Yeah, this mud flap hit this barrier, and it flew off and hit my car right here. Again, could not move to the left. Where's my mouse? Could not move to the left because of the barricade. Couldn't move to the right because of the van, and also because it's a no switching lanes thing at this point on the highway because it's construction. So there's a loud crash noise. And it's not okay. So I pull off to the side of the road. Now, you'd think that would be the major part of the story. That is still 0.78 out of 13. So we pull over. I get This is at 11:57 p.m., by the way. So I said we left at 10:15. We drove pretty fast. We made it to that point in an hour and 45 minutes. So now that hits the car, and I hear the crash noise, and then there's a dragging noise after we get out of the mud flap. So I pull over, and then there's no exit for a few miles still. I looked at the map. But then we called 911. Yeah, Kefka, I think a lot of people have. Yeah, for sure. So we called 911. We called her parents, and we called my parents. 911 connected us to the state police. The state police said they're going to send an officer out for an incident report. We're all fine, by the way. It was me, my wife, and the dog in the car. So then my wife's parents are like trying to help us like figure out what's going on. My parents say to call for roadside assistance from my insurance because I have that. So we start working on a lot of things, and then I get out to look at the car, which is dangerous when you're on the side of an interstate, by the way, because there's semi trucks going by you at 80 miles an hour. But I get out and I go around to the front of the car to look at it, and there is like where the side air intakes are. The driver's side one, sorry, I think that's this side for you guys, is broken out. What was happening? Yes, I lived. Air was coming into that and pushing down the plastic from the bottom of the bumper, and that was dragging on the ground. I'm not a car guy, so I didn't know what the safetiness of this was. Also, around the side of the car, there was some sort of liquid leaking out. So, I was very worried about that part especially. Because plastic, if it breaks, I'm still more okay with plastic breaking. Liquid coming out of the car could mean a lot of different things. If that's brake fluid, I would die. If that's power steering fluid, I would probably be okay, but it's still very dangerous. If it's coolant, the car overheats. If it's oil, that's even a bigger problem because it could catch on fire. Which I've had a car do before, by the way. Not fun. So, let's see. Police say someone's coming. Roadside assistance. Oh, called the roadside assistance. And they have a weird robot telephone person. And you have to go through a big menu, and it says, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And it's very not helpful when you're in an urgent situation. It could be my blinker fluid. Thank you, Dreams. Yeah, there always is the taste test method, but I didn't do that. Because I don't know what things are what. So we called the roadside assistance to get that going. And what they do is they send you a text. That text has a link to a website. That website leads to a form. Then you have to fill out a form. And then they say, okay, which towing service would you like? And then you pick a towing service. And then it goes to them. And then apparently it's supposed to work. That's a lot of effort when you're in an urgent situation. It'd be real nice if it was like, roadside assistance, how may I help you? And I say, I need roadside assistance. And they say, where are you at? And then they call tow trucks until they find one for me. That would be a good roadside assistance. So anyways, number 9. 1 hour later. We are now at 1 o'clock in the morning. No cop. No tow truck. No word from either of them. So we call the state police back. Apparently, somewhere near us, there was a multiple car pileup. The multiple car pileup warranted every single state police officer in the area to go to it. So it was going to be a while before a state police officer was going to get to us to write out an incident report, which would take 5 minutes. Then we call the insurance back, speak to a human this time somehow, They say they're working on getting us a tow truck. My father-in-law then leaves from where we came from to come get us. Half an hour after that, so 1:30 in the morning, we call the sheriff's department of that county, which we had to figure out what county we were in. But we try to see if we can get a deputy over there, and they say no, because the interstate is for the state police to handle. Number 10. 2 a.m. It's now been 2 hours that we've sat on the side of the interstate. The sheriff's department gets called by my parents, and my parents tell them what has happened and that we've been there for 2 hours. They realize that since it's been 2 hours, they should probably do something about it. So they send a deputy out, even though they're not supposed to. I've talked to officers about this before. If you are a sworn officer of the law, you have full jurisdiction in your state, regardless. And then you have some jurisdiction out of state. So, a deputy has every right to come and write an accident report for us. So it takes another 20 minutes for them to get there. Meanwhile, while we're waiting on him, we realize that the towing company that the insurance had as the number one listed towing company that we picked isn't open. So we start calling around to try to figure this out ourselves instead of worrying about roadside assistance, and we figured we'd call and complain at a reasonable hour where we could talk to an actual human and try to get our money back if we need to. Yeah, at least we weren't in the car pile. That's true. So, we start calling places. First place didn't answer. Second place asked where we were and then hung up on my wife. So then I call back and I say, hey, you just hung up on my wife. Can you come get us? And he said, no, you're too far out. I know where his towing service is based out of. We were 20 miles away. It was the closest town to us. So, then I call the next guy, and he gives me 2 recommendations. His first recommendation is the guy that said, you're too far away. His second recommendation doesn't answer the phone. So then we finally get to get a hold of somebody. The guy gave us recommendations because his tow truck was broken. The final place that we call says, I don't do 24-hour service anymore, but I can come get it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we said, sure. It's already 2:30 in the morning. Might as well just wait till 8 and have it towed to our house. And we can unload our stuff in my father-in-law's car and get going. Number 11. 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife calls the insurance back to cancel the roadside assistance since it wasn't helpful, only to find out that the robot said that our service request had been put on hold with no notification to us. It had been put on hold indefinitely with no notification to us. Keep in mind, we're still on the side of the interstate with semis going 80 miles an hour past us. Finally, my wife's dad gets there and he messes with the car. He shoves the plastic back up inside the bumper so it doesn't drag on the ground. He says there's a light broken out and the plastic piece under the bumper is broken and missing a screw. And that's what was scraping the ground. He then looked for leaks in the car. Didn't find any. What we had seen coming out of the bottom, he is pretty sure was condensation from the air conditioner, which makes total sense. Yeah, Nate, rubber mud flaps for semi-trucks are quite heavy, and when you hit one going 70 miles an hour, it's real strong. It busted up the car. I'll show you some pictures here in a minute. You know what? I'll show you the picture now. So, here's the underside of the car. That one's not as big of a deal. But yeah, you can see that's like real busted out. There's supposed to be plastic there. It's very bent up. That's coming out of the place that it's supposed to be. Yeah, there's a side view of it. Yes, Bunko, I just showed it on the stream, so yes, you can see it. Yeah, rough times. So then, we finally get home at 3:30 in the morning. Get unpacked with the dog and everything. And then I find out that right here on my arm is a tick that has been there since about the time we pulled off the interstate. Pulled off the side of the interstate. Because I bent down and like looked underneath the car. And when I did that, a tick got on my arm. If you all don't know, ticks are nasty creatures that carry a lot of diseases. So I wasn't okay with that. So I pulled it off real quick. You probably can't tell very well. I got this light that's real bright here, but there's no mark on me at all from that. How do I know what? It's the only time that made sense, Bunko. Otherwise, I was standing up the rest of the time, so a tick wouldn't be able to get to me. But I did lean over on the ground earlier than that. Yeah, it's gross. So we finally get to bed at almost 5 o'clock in the morning after unpacking, taking care of our rabbit, taking care of our dog, removing the tick from my arm. I take a shower, and when I took the shower, there was another tick on my waistline. So that wasn't okay either. Not doing great with the tick thing. Neither one of them buried into my skin. No, I could still see the head. So it was fine. I got that part fine. Oh, there's more to this story. Don't worry. So, got both ticks gone. We're okay. I sanitized it with alcohol. It didn't even dig into my skin anyways. Then I set an alarm. Yeah, I know you need to burn them after removing, but I freaked out when I was in the shower and it flew into our sink and went down the drain. And the one I found when I was outside, and it is in the grass somewhere. Hopefully on somebody's animal that's not mine. So we went to bed at almost 5, set an alarm for 8 to call our bosses to let them know we won't be in today. And then after we woke up and told our bosses, we slept till noon. But wait, there's more! There it is, Adam. I know you said that earlier. So, Monday... yeah, we only slept till noon after going to bed at 5, so it was about 7 hours of sleep. But we were okay with 7. I mean, we never sleep past noon. We never sleep past, like, 9. So sleeping till noon is very, fine. So, Monday, I called the landscape guy back to tell him no. We went to Menards to get trim removing tools, because remember, beginning of the story, we have to get the washer and dryer into our laundry room. And that requires me to take the trim off of the walls in order for it to fit. So we went to go get trim remover stuff. On the way to Menards, Best Buy calls me. Says, hey, we need you to reschedule your delivery. Keep in mind, delivery was scheduled for today. It didn't get delivered today. The delivery is now set for June 17th, which is, as you can probably guess by doing some math, 8 days from 8 days from today. So that's really annoying that we don't have a washer and dryer for another week. Apparently, when I called them before, the robot voice thing By the way, the online picker was broken. When I called them before, the online voice thing must have also been broken. Thank you, Eric, for that. But I have been on the story for like half an hour now, by the way. So this time the online picker was going, and we used that. And we got actual confirmation via a text and an email saying that it's coming on that day. Then I called them today. This is a little break in the chronological story. Because I wanted to say, hey, I want to make sure this is coming. And also, I want to make sure that I get some kind of financial compensation for having to wait this long for your system messing up twice. So they're going to give me gift cards. So, then I called the insurance at the local place instead of the corporate office. Yo, what's up, Slick? We've been on a half-hour story. It's been great. Thank you for the good vibes. I definitely need them. Called the insurance at the local place instead of corporate. Actually got service. Filed a claim. Rates guaranteed not to change. And I only have to pay a $100 deductible on the car. As I was typing all this to the architect, the gutter cleaner people call me and say they have to reschedule for the next day. So, everything's not going on schedule as it's intended to be. But wait, that's part 12 of 13. Part 12 and a half. We go to bed that night, and I leaned over close to my wife, and she elbows me in the eye. That's it. That's the whole part of, that's all of the half point there. Part 13, final part here. Other than like everything's working out. I guess there is a 14 now, actually. 14 part story. Part 13. The gutter people come and hi honey, how are you? She's in the other room. She's literally right there. I don't know. She definitely did. She might elbow me again. That's not out of the question. It might be because of Madagascar too. So anyways, gutter people come. I answer the door. They ring the doorbell. I answer the door. And they say, hey, we're here to clean your gutters. And I say, okay, here's how you open the gate. Thank you, baby devil. So, like I said, I have trees growing in my gutters, and I have a bunch of crap on the side of my house. So, they had to deal with the trees growing in the gutters. When they walked in the backyard, I hear the guy yell from outside. I'm inside. Holy crap! Except he used more choice language. So I was laughing a little bit about that. And I'm sitting in here in this office because it's where I do work at. And they do all the gutter cleaning. When they come around here, the dog is out. And I went to the bathroom and he's just howling, barking. He is very angry. He has like a couple different types of bark. He has like whiny barks, he has playful barks, and then he has warning barks. The warning barks happen anytime he sees somebody near our house that isn't supposed to be there. Or at least he doesn't think they're supposed to be there. So he was very angry at them and ready to fight them. And also ready for comfort from me. So I'm holding him, I'm hugging him, cuddling him, whatever. And they clean out the gutters. And they come back and they ring the doorbell. And I put the dog back in here. And I go answer the door. And they say, hey, just want to let you know we're done. You'll get a call either this afternoon or tomorrow. I got it today, by the way. And we'll get the payment information settled. The dog's name is Augie. And then as I was shutting the door and going back in, he was like, oh, wait a second. Just so you know, we are required by our policy to leave the trash bag here full of your gutter stuff. And I hear the dude that's already at their truck say, "That's a heavy dude right there." And I was like, okay. And he was like, "No, seriously, that bag is very heavy." And I was like, "Oh, that's fine. I can handle it. No big deal." So a little bit later, I take the dog out to go to the bathroom, and I see that bag, and I also see that it looks like it's about to rain. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want that bag to get all wet. That'll make it real gross and also a lot heavier to move into the trash can." So I put the dog in, and I uh, open the garage door to get my trash bin, the big roller trash can out, and I go down and I take it and I pull up on it, and just like this, it doesn't move. Like it stretches, but every part of the weight just stayed there, and I was like, "Oh, that is a heavy dude right there." So, what I ended up doing was I took my roller trash can down and I laid it on the ground, put the lid down, and I rolled the heavy trash bag into my trash bin, and then I used the leverage from the trash can lid to throw it in there, and then was able to lift it up and put it back in my garage until trash day on Friday. So that was yesterday. Today, part 14. I set up a rental car because I get that through my insurance. Leverage is when you have more distance from something. I'll draw it out too. I can answer this real quick. So if you have something like this, if you have a heavy object here, if you try to lift it, if you press down on this lever here, it's not going to put as much force as pressing down on the lever here. Oh, you can't see that. Hold on. There we go. So you have this object here. There is some fulcrum, is what this is called. And there is the ability to lift it by pressing down on this. If you press down closer to this fulcrum, you will not get nearly as much force up. Pressing down here will give you a lot more force. So lifting something directly up requires a lot of force, but if I press down on it, or if I lift it from farther away so it just has to pick up part of it, it rolls easier. Anyways, so I scheduled a rental car for today. It's probably like 6th or 7th grade stuff, but Chezer's only in 8th grade, so scheduled a rental car for today at 9:30, and I get a call at 8 o'clock this morning, and they say, "Hey, we know you have a reservation for a rental car today, but nobody returned their rental cars last night that they were supposed to, so we don't have any cars." We are out of cars. And I was like, "Oh, well, that's not good." And they were like, "There's somebody that's supposed to bring one back at 10. And I was like, "Okay." And then I called them at 10 and they were like, "No, they didn't bring it back." And then they called me back in the afternoon. They were like, "Hey, we can't give you one tonight, but we got one for you for tomorrow morning at 8:30. So I have to go get it tomorrow at 8:30. And that is the end of this 14-part story of how this rough week has been. So I appreciate you all. There's 15 of you here listening to me ramble about my awful week that I've been struggling through. But, like, overall, everything's going okay. Like, I'm doing all right mentally. I'm focused on the end goal. I've got a lot of things going on. And I'm working through them all. Like, today I fixed this stuff that's going on out here. In the side yard that they said was going to be $750. I did the first part of what I need to do for that and chopped it all down. Which took a little while and was very painful, honestly. But yeah, that's the end of the story. I'm going to highlight this and post it in the Discord for anybody that missed it. I know Neo specifically isn't here, and he wanted to see it. But yeah, I appreciate you all watching. Thank you.